everyone. So last year I did a video where I ranked the different Charlotte Mary Yonge novels that I have read, and since then I have read a number more. So I wanted to include them in the rankings, and it was very apparent to me as I was making my list of rankings, there are 3 tiers to my rankings. So there's books that I come out feeling like I didn't enjoy them more than I did enjoy them. And then the middle ranking is, yes, I definitely enjoyed them. And then the top ranking is, oh, I completely loved them. Now what's interesting is the farther I get from certain books, the more that I grow in love for them, or the less I grow in love for them. So this is as of 2024, this is how I feel about these books. And it could be, you know, I'm gonna read some more, and next Victober, I'll come out with another rankings video. So this is as of now, how I feel about them. So the bottom ranking, where I come out feeling less positive than, feeling more negative than positive. And the first one is Friarswood Post Office. So this is definitely hands down, this is my least favorite out of the books. And I don't really feel, I think a lot of people who don't come from a background of faith find her books very didactic. But I think it's just they're not used to someone speaking so openly about it. And I don't find them didactic or even preachy, because I don't think she ever acts like doing the right thing is easy. I've seen several reviewers, you know, say that. I don't agree with that, except for in Friarswood Post Office. I think because I can't remember if Friarswood Post Office is an earlier ranking one, because there is a character with disability. And as a reader with chronic illness reading it, I thought that the advice that this character with disability was given was pretty harsh in certain places. So, oh, maybe she kind of evolved in how she thought about it. It could be that. And then also, I was just completely uninterested in the barely there plot. It's like the book was kind of an excuse to do a statement of beliefs about things, but it wasn't really an interesting storyline whatsoever. Then the next one is scenes and characters. So there's a whole interconnected network of characters in Charlotte Mary Yonge's books. So last fall, I read The Pillars of the House, and I saw that eventually there's a book called The Long Vacation, where you get to see those characters again. But before you get to The Long Vacation, there are 2 books that are connected, Scenes and Characters, and The Two Sides of the Shield. And then in The Long Vacation, those characters meet up with all the characters from Pillars of the House. So I asked my friends who read Pillars of the House with me, would you read these 2 books with me, and then we could read The Long Vacation together? Unfortunately, I have had a series of Charlotte Mary Yonge that I didn't like as much. So by the time I got to The Long Vacation, I completely had lost momentum. So just having a series of Charlotte Mary Yonge that were very 3-star experiences for me, then I just really lost momentum with reading her, and I needed a break for a while. So Scenes and Characters was the first in a duology, but then it kind of has that sequel in The Long Vacation. And I was so bored by this storyline. There was not really any character that I was interested in, and I wish I could explain this better, but I feel I can never verbalize it. She has certain novels where it feels like I'm seeing the characters through a distant fog, and sometimes when I read Elizabeth Goudge, it feels that way as well. Like the characters are so far away, it's like I kind of hear echoes of the story, but I can't quite grasp it. And it's weird because sometimes she writes and I'm so tracking with her and on board, and I love how she's writing, and then other times not so much. So this was written in that style. And then the next one is The Daisy Chain. This is a fan favorite. Amongst Charlotte Mary Yonge fans, this is one. And it started off so strong. I thought, this is going to be another The Heir of Redclyffe. I'm going to love it so much. And the farther I got into it, by the time I got 50% through, I was pretty much decided, like, I am done with this book. So I did end up finishing it, but I came out just feeling not that positive. And the longer I get from it and the more Charlotte Mary Yonge books that I read and love, then I just don't feel that positive about it. And then sadly, in the lower ranking is The Pillars of the House. So if you could have been there for when I read this with friends, and I think it's close to 1,000 pages, and there's 2 volumes to it. So we read it over, was it 2 months? I think we read it over 2 months. And it was such a varied experience for the different readers. Some readers read it and they're like, it's my favorite book of the year. Others in the group, we really struggled to even complete it. And so it was just vastly varied in what the different people thought of it. And unfortunately, I was one of the readers that it's such a shame because I really, really liked a lot of the characters, but it was her execution of the storyline. So now that I think about it, there was a lot of characters to love. You're meeting this huge, huge family with so many children, and getting to see them grow up and how their lives turn out. But so, when I think about that, like, oh, maybe it should be ranked higher. But now I'm going to talk about the next, the next up books, and you'll see why compared to those. So it's still a Charlotte Mary Yonge book, right? I would still rank it above other lower ranking Victorian, but for Charlotte Mary Yonge, it's lower in the ranking. So now we get to the middle tier of books I definitely enjoyed. I'm really happy that I read them. The first is The Little Duke, which is about Richard of Normandy, and it's a historical fiction. So as far as Victorian historical fiction, I'm always going to find harder to read because it's another level removed from me. Already when I'm reading something Victorian, it's a level removed from me. It's not a contemporary novel. Then let's top that off with a historical Victorian novel. It's another level removed. But since it was a children's novel, I found it rather accessible. I didn't really know anything about Richard of Normandy. And so then it had me Googling things and learning more. And it's told in such a Charlotte Mary Yonge way. So very charming. And I think actually at some point I might read it aloud to the boys. I think I could enjoy it even more that way. Then the Stokesley Secret, which I look on very fondly. And it's only because of how much I love the top ranking ones that this is only in the middle tier. I love the very cozy, intimate nature of this story because it's very simple what she's doing. You're just seeing a few months, I think it's just a few months, in the life of this family while the parents are away, the mother's health is poor, and the governess is taking care of them. And it's just got such a winning way about it. There's so much warmth. And I love that these kids, there's a movie that I've seen where a character is feeling very enthusiastic and they say, I want to know everything the whole world knows. I feel like the characters are always like that in the Charlotte Mary Yonge ones that I love. And if any of you have read Daniel Deronda and the Merrick family, that to me, they just savor all of savor all of the goodness out of life they can, kind of the marrow of the goodness. They get everything they can out of the things that they enjoy. When they read books, they read them with abandon. When they're painting, they paint with abandon. And when they're doing, nature study outside, they do it with abandon. And so I also love the visions you get of the rhythms of work and rest in this. So they'll struggle over, studying Euclid together, and then they go out in a field and celebrate. So I really enjoyed that one. Then Countess Kate. Here it is right here. I had it from filming another video. So Countess Kate, I just love this children's story. And this is one I definitely want to read aloud to my boys at some point. It's the most delightful tale of a very not prim and proper young lady who is a countess, is declared a countess. And so her life has to really change. And I adore it. And I was so excited to get this really fun peachy pink edition of it. And I have to talk about it every time I hold it up. Then lastly, Two Sides of the Shield. So Two Sides of the Shield is the sequel to Scenes and Characters. And it was really fun that it was quite a departure from Two Sides of the Shield. And in Two Sides of the Shield, it was a departure from Scenes and Characters. And in Scenes and Characters, one of my favorite characters, Gerald, you get to know his daughter very well in Two Sides of the Shield. And she goes on quite the journey with her story arc. She is really not that appealing of a character at first. And so I really appreciated how it's not, you know, like we're not supposed to be annoyed by her. It's no, she just has some growing to do. And so I love the journey that she goes on. So at some point, I would like to see kind of what happened to her in The Long Vacation. I'll read it at some point. All right, top tier. And we have 5 novels in this. And I think this is the definitive ranking for the top tiers. Yes. So 5th down is Heartsease. And Heartsease, I think the reason it's 5th down is because it is just so sad in parts. And Violet, our main character, you're just wanting to cheer her on so much. And she is such a scapegoat in this household. She comes to the family as the new young bride of the son of the family. And the sisters just will not give her the time of the day. They have totally prejudged her before meeting her. She's 16 years old when she becomes a part of this family. And so your heart really goes out to Violet. And so she's treated very unfairly. So it's very painful at points. But I just could not stop reading. I really wanted to know what was going to happen to Violet. Then next is Chantry House. And this is really fun because it is a ghost story, but it is a Charlotte Mary Yonge ghost story. So it's told in a very wholesome Charlotte Mary Yonge way. And there's only certain members of the house that end up seeing the ghost, and there's a really cool resolution to it. So this family ends up moving from where they are to Chantry House. And when they move there, there's one of the family members who he was court-martialed. And so they're trying to keep that hush-hush so people in the community don't kind of shun them. And so that's an interesting aspect of the plot. And yeah, I just found it an altogether compelling read. Then there is The 3 Brides. And this is about 3 brothers who their mother is ailing. So they all move home to be with her and help take care of her with their 3 new wives. And just getting to spend time with these characters and get to know them and see each of their hopes and dreams, see the heartaches that they have to go through. And also, there is almost always in a Charlotte Mary Yonge novel, disability representation. And in this, one of the characters is albino. And it's written so well. It's stated that he is albino, he has some issues with his vision, and then we move on with the story, and he's not this tainted character because of his disability. I just love how she does that. And yeah, so it's just one of my favorites. I love the journey these characters go on. And then, oh, also I have to say that in Charlotte Mary Yonge's books, there is almost always seasonal awareness. And I love that, getting to feel like even more you're grounded with the characters, knowing what season of the year it is and the holidays that happen because of that. There's usually some kind of church holiday that's happening, church calendar event, and so enjoyable. Then Dynevor Terrace. This I read last autumn and it blew me away. This is actually the novel now that I would ask people to start Charlotte Mary Yonge with, Dynevor Terrace. It has 2 parts to it, and you're getting to know 2 cousins who she was raised in Peru. Her father owns a mine, and when her mother dies, he sends her to go live with her mother's family. And so she really gets to know this cousin that she did not grow up with, and they form this very tight-knit bond. And then there are also other friends that they get to know. There are some travels to Peru that happen. They also go to, they are involved with events in the French Revolution. So it's just very exciting and twisty-turny and just absolutely delightful. My #1 Charlotte Mary Yonge book, though, I think has to be The Heir of Redclyffe. And I think it's because when I think of it, I think back on it the most fondly out of anything. And it's one that it has made such an emotional impact on me. It has really stuck with me, and there's something about it that's so special, and there's some really hard things that happen in it. So it's definitely, I have to be ready for for my heart to ache when I read it. But it's so beautifully told, and she has such compelling characters that really go on these beautiful journeys. So yes, The Heir of Redclyffe is #1. So please, please, if you have not tried Charlotte Mary Yonge, I hope that you will consider trying her. And yes, that is all. Thank you as always for watching, and I will be back with another video soon. Bye.